now, François, if you may, I'm going to need your help actually to introduce our next speaker. I told you that this morning was all about the telcos. Well, indeed, we are about to have with us one of the biggest telcos in France here with us this morning.
Thank you, Marjorie, and good morning, everybody. Hope you had a great evening. We are talking about big bets this morning, and I couldn't imagine a better speaker for us than Yves LEGRAND. He's a CTO, EVP of Bouygues Telecom, and Bouygues Telecom has been created in 1994, and the big issue at this time was not to raise money, not to build a network, but to get a license. So, Yves, we are delighted to have you on the scene, because you've done all the job, I understand, in Bouygues Telecom, so except the CEO job, which is, I guess, will be your next job. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, good morning, everyone. I believe that, like many of you, have been in this industry for over 20 years. And for all those years, we always had the same questions. How to offer good service? How should we steer the company? How to make sure the next technology choices will be the good ones? And of course, none of these questions have simple answers. The only question I know whose answer is relatively easy to give is, will tomorrow be easier than today? What would be your own answer? Yes? No? My guess is that it won't be easier. And as a CTO, I can tell you that technology won't help to build it easier. So I'm going to talk technology and investment, and more globally, I'd like to highlight some opinions which were relevant yesterday and which I feel will be relevant for tomorrow. Initially, I'll talk quality of service, and then I'll move on to infrastructure and then services. My job, of course, is to satisfy our customers, and in particular by offering a good quality of service. But even if I have the same responsibilities, the same goal as my peers, I do believe that we don't have the same way of doing this. 10 years ago, we were speaking of 20 years ago, 10 years ago, quality of service was an important subject, but it remained mostly internal to operators. We were monitoring the voice quality, the ability to set up calls, and keep it. Today, quality of service has become much more critical to our customers' life, as shown by the number of apps that are monitoring this quality, and as shown by the vast number of users on these different apps. And this doesn't even include Twitter, which is a monitoring tool both for the users but also for the technical teams. And really, data quality of service is something that is specific to each service. When surfing the web, latency is a key point. When transferring files, speed is the main issue. When watching live TV, we monitor the amount of data that are not transmitted. And I could even say that to offer a new content service, designing the network to offer the good quality of service is as important as the content itself. And I'll be happy for you to have a look at Bouygues Telecom on the Netflix Speed Index related to that. So this requires really team know-how via the development of technologies that are more and more interlinked between radio, IP, virtualized core, and even IT infrastructure. And this requires for all of our people to be able to do something they did not do before. Beyond quality of service, customers really require quality of experience. And as an example of that, there will always be equipment failures. 100% availability is something that simply does not exist in our world. It's too costly. And I really believe that short repair times after a failure is more important than peak data speed. And in order to do that, I consider two major points are required to offer this quality of service. Of course, you need to have highly skilled people in your company, skilled in every technological domain. But really, more critically, those people have to form teams that work together in order to find a common optimum level of service. They must share a common goal of customer centricity. And this ability to work together, this customer centricity is often expressed. And I've never seen any company not expressing it. But in reality, it is the most difficult thing to really do. And I often say to all of our employees are working for one customer, for a single customer. The point is just that this customer is duplicated millions of times, but we have to organize as if we had a single customer in front of us. And two examples of what we've done in order to help us achieve this quality of service. We are not perfect, certainly not, but we try to make it better. All our employees are retail customers. This means that they have no special corporate plans. They go to shops to get their telephones or their boxes. They have the same after-sales service as any of our customers. And by doing that, we get very good feedback on what is not perfect, what should be improved, and it helps us to prioritize our action. Another example is that we've set up dedicated teams responsible for the quality of experience. They are in charge of that from an end-to-end point of view. They have no responsibility over a specific part, but they share the same personal goals, the same KPIs as anyone in this chain. So for quality of service, and as a CTO, I can tell you that, of course, technology is important, but the company's culture is even more important. Let's now go to the second point of my talk, infrastructure. The job of network or IT technical teams is, of course, to choose the right technologies, equipment, suppliers, architectures, etc. And in this domain, I see two major issues to address. We have to manage different timescales. I come back to that point in a minute. And the second issue is that when you make a decision, you have to understand the decision you make. Of course, there's an active decision, which is the one you really make. But there is a passive one, which is the path you take or leave when making this first decision. And this second one is important. Moving back to the timescales, of course, the future is full of hopes or promise, but it remains fully uncertain. Will time spent watching live TV reduce with the younger generations? Maybe, maybe not. No one knows, but still decisions have to be made that are critical for the long run of the company. Sometimes you decide things that are to be made within days or weeks, but most telecom equipments will remain for more than 8 years. Frequency planning is something that is made for 5 years. Radio masts, fiber is here for decades. And even removing blind spots is an activity we speak a lot about and which takes many years. So this means the decisions you make today are here for preparing a future spanning from days to decades. And to be successful on this, I see 4 keywords that are useful: technology watch, scalability, innovation, and abandon. Technology watch, including trials, is key. We've made 5G trials, we'll continue to do that. We've tested, or we are even beyond testing of many of its technological components. Scalability is important. It has to be scalable both in terms of capacity and functions. As an example, several years ago, we chose microwaves that were able to support the heavy traffic of 4G at a time it was not needed, but it was there. Technology watched, scalability, but also bets very early in the innovation cycle, mainly for what could be a differentiation factor. We were among the very few operators to choose Android TV, which is now becoming a de facto standard for set-top boxes. We chose LoRa IoT technology, whose early choice has allowed us to prepare for services of the IoT with our Opgenius subsidiary. And it does not always succeed. In those early decisions sometimes become less relevant, as it was the case with iMode, that was replaced a few years after with the advent of smartphones. And my 4th word is abandon. It's important to abandon things you do not rely on. Leave it away. So in all my career, I've learned that you have to question yourself all the time and question others as well. Never be assured, and continue to ask yourself whether your previous answers will remain in the future. Quality of service infrastructures. Now, a few words about services. What services should we offer and how to produce them efficiently? When I was head of strategy, I was asking myself, what services should we offer to our customers? Today, we are very lucky. We have 17 million heads of strategy, all of our customers. And they forced us by certain uses, like for fixed mobile convergence. They want to consume their contents seamlessly. They have made a choice for us. And often our teams have a natural tendency to produce services in-house by ourselves. But my experience in that theme is that in-house innovation, yes, is very useful for launching new services, for developing technologies that the market has not looked at, for making an initial differentiation step. But when the market takes up with certain ideas, when the market produces them in a mass size, then it's better to let it take over from in-house innovation. And in this way, you really benefit from larger scale effects than if you did it yourself. You can access stronger innovation capacity and far more functions than allowed by your internal innovation. The world Android TV developers will always do better over long term than our engineers, even if we have the best ones, of course. But we won't be able to do long tail by ourselves. And this is why we very much rely on other companies' innovation, and especially startups, and recently we've worked with more than 50 of those startups in the past years. We'll continue. Finally, I'd like to say just a few words about the next upcoming revolution, which started a few years ago, and whose importance is much clearer for the past year or so. Of course, it's big data and artificial intelligence. These are domains that are liable to revolutionize our business by improving quality of service and improving the effectiveness of all our employees, be they commercial or technical, by going from predictive to prescriptive. And these new technologies that we're investing heavily on will help us in the future remain competitive and customer-centric. And I believe that our customers will really see that these technical solutions make a tangible improvement in their relationship with Bouygues Telecom. So, in conclusion, quality of service is increasingly important, and it's the responsibility of entire teams and not of individuals. Second, to prepare tomorrow's infrastructure, you need to take risks, but you need to remain humble. And third, opening up to the outside is the best way to create the services of tomorrow. And in a single sentence, it would be the job of a telecom operator is to be a telecom operator. Let's build on our strength to prepare a nice future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yves.